Hello again, and welcome to another episode of Respect the Mic podcast.
This is the podcast where we talk about Asian things that matter to Asian people. As always, I'm your host, Michael Lam.
And I'm your boy, Michael Trung. Woo!
How's it going, bro?
You know what? A lot of good news for me lately, so I'm in a happy state. Things are looking great.
Yeah.
I love lockdown, man. I love lockdown.
Despite all of this lockdown stuff, the pandemic, all of this, you're doing great. That's good to see.
Do you know what, man? It's those who adapt are those who survive.
Yeah.
And the world is ever changing, and if your circumstances changed, you've got to adapt. You can't just let life go by, innit? Otherwise,
yeah, man. I love this wisdom that you give. You know, every time it's like things are looking good. It's like wife, like telling you, and you just give some Confucian wisdom. And it's like, geez, Michael, you're right, bro.
I want to be a beacon of positivity. I want to show you that yes, life can be shite. In a broad picture, but it's what you make of it, and it's what you turn that shit into.
Yeah.
You could turn shit into compost this is just
That's
working
true.
with my analogy here.
It's technically fertilizer. I mean, you can grow vegetables with it.
Yeah, bro. And you see what you can do when you turn shit and you grow new shit. But yeah, beautiful analogy. How you been, Lam? Obviously not much has changed for you. You just don't exit your house even more.
Life is good. Do you know what? It was actually a bit of a mad one because I lost my Wi-Fi in my flat.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Which was
I was wondering why
crazy.
you just fell off the map for like a few days.
Yeah. I wasn't messaging you back. I was like, I had no Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi just switched off. And I couldn't work because, I was in lockdown and you can't really move.
Oh, shit.
Around
You weren't able to do your job.
But what's even worse is you can't. I have no phone network where I live.
Yeah.
So it's not even I can just use 4G and like.
No.
It was so peak. But
so,
what I did.
So you realize how important internet was to your life. It's a necessity.
Honestly,
now.
it felt like I wasn't living in my own home. Like I couldn't relax in my own home. You know, like when it came to what are you gonna do now?
It's peak,
and it's just I can do nothing. When you go to your phone and you wanna go through your phone, it's like I can do nothing.
You couldn't use any of your your
I was just looking at photos.
Google Home thing wasn't working. Was your Hoover still hoovering? You can't activate any of that, can you?
Nope, none of that. I can't even. I couldn't even check the sports.
Ages.
I couldn't even check the sports or anything. You know, even before internet, I can at least do that through teletext. But I didn't even have that.
Boy, the way that would make me like not be able to sleep at night, not having internet, because
man,
the internet is tied into my money. You
just realize how essential it is. You got to stay connected. Otherwise, you can go crazy.
I didn't think like when we were kids and like dial-up internet came out, I didn't think that it would expand into this and all the applications that have now spawned from the ability to have a connection to someone across the other side of the world. Information is readily available at your hands.
Yeah, man. Like, I mean,
entertainment as well, learning, all of it.
I have now. I mean, before when I used to get internet, the only thing I used it for was to look at Dragon Ball Z pictures. And now
I use it to play Neopets.
And now it's like everything in my life is connected to the internet. My entertainment, my work, my social life.
It's kind of weird, huh? I think they would probably, you know what would be a sick business, right? Is if me and you set up these like zones, these places where you can go, quiet zones, with air quotation marks, where it just has like it blocks all cellular data. There's no internet connection, and like it's just pure calmness. I reckon we could make a killing, bruv. We could make a killing. Actually,
I mean, I had that at my house this week.
and how relaxing was that, Lamb?
It was not relaxing at all, I'm telling you.
Okay, maybe this idea is not gonna work.
with stress. But if you
No,
do
but when
want to,
people-
I think I get it. When you
Exactly.
do want to get away, you know.
Yeah, because I remember Selfridges had this place where you just go and you can like nap. It's like a quiet room. in,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
On the bottom floor or something. It was such a sick idea. Like,
That's it, man. My office, they're doing a whole new revamp, and we've got a meditation room where you just go in, it's just all quiet, no noise,
that's
no
sick.
nothing. Just sit there and you just vibe. Which I can't wait to use that room. Once lockdown is over and everything is normal, so probably 2023, I'll be able to use that room.
I would use that room and bring all my equipment into there because it's just silence.
You'd be like that, you know. You remember Trigger Happy TV?
Oh yeah.
Hello. No, meditation room. Yeah, it's really quiet in here.
Oh man, we have to invent a system to like kick out those people who disturb the peace, fam. Disturb the peace.
Oh.
But I think you know, unpopular opinion again. Like I love lockdown. It just gives me the ability to literally pursue my passions. You know, spend more time with the missus. But it's been more busier than I thought it would be. So I haven't been able to tackle everything I wanted to. But I can't complain, right? Hopefully
That's
that
fair.
means my future is bright.
That's it. And I think lockdown is such a beautiful opportunity for creatives to get down to their work and do something that they really enjoy. Like if you've got a script or a piece of a play that you've always wanted to write, a story you've always wanted to write, now is the perfect time. Which kind of leads on to the guest that we have on, Quyen D Nguyen, who's
Quyen Nguyen?
Quyen Nguyen.
That
who's
is
a
a tongue
Vietnamese-
twister, bro.
Yeah, it's kind of true. It kind of rhymes as well, you know.
Quyen Nguyen.
Nguyen, yeah.
I can't say it.
I think it's got a nice flow to it. But
I apologize for butchering it. But yeah, what does Gwen do? Tell the audience, fam.
He's a writer, director, and producer who recently released a few short films. One called Ignorant, the other called Labels, which kind of centers around the East Asian experience within the pandemic and just in the wider community as well. A really talented guy, so we were quite lucky to have him on and have a chat with us. And yeah, it was really good fun.
I think it's actually just beautiful to even have that kind of creative and make that kind of story that's so big. It needs a little bit more traction, to be fair. Like more people need to see this because it's quite a strong piece, and we'll really get into it. Just before we do, remember like, subscribe, notifications, all of that. Make sure you leave 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. And remember, if you want to have a chat with us as well, or you've got something to get off your chest, at Respect the Mic Pod, or you can email us at respectthemicrophone@gmail.com. Yeah, let's get into this.
Let's get straight into it. Let's go. Hi, Quyen. Welcome to the podcast.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you guys for inviting me onto the show.
Yeah.
What's with all the directions? that really put me off. I was like, what's this? What's going on here?
I was trying to attempt to point, but obviously I realized that the positioning of our webcams may be in different places on.
Okay, you want us
So
to
you were
be
just
more
pointed
aligned?
everywhere, like.
Yeah, I just started risking it. But anybody who's watching should know who Michael and Michael is. But
This one down here.
our new guest. If our new guest, it's the new word for you. Our new guest.
You basically combine Gwen with guest, so you
My mind works too fast. Yeah, if you want to wave, so everybody watching knows who you are.
Yeah. But yeah, welcome to the podcast. We're really glad to have you on. Thanks for taking the time out to come on.
No worries. Thank you for inviting me, guys. You'll be good to obviously have a word and speak about some couple of topics that we're going to go through today.
Yes.
Whoa, setting precedent. Terrible topics. maybe we could have some happiness, possibly. Hopefully.
I didn't say terrible topics to that. I said topics. I just said that we're going to go through and speak about things.
Yeah, I think you had that idea in your head,
Yeah,
Michael.
I think
What?
You just said topics.
Am I going
did
crazy?
not-
No,
I did not say
swear,
terrible.
when I
You
look back
just
in the
said
edit,
you just said topics.
terrible topics was, I swear I
Oh.
heard terrible
I
topics.
Now you're hearing things.
All right, mate.
Sorry, mate.
The Matrix is.
I didn't say that.
Continue.
I think you're hallucinating, Michael, or something.
I did take some shrooms this morning.
Yeah. That's why he was pointing this way.
Recommend.
He didn't know who was who.
Yeah.
I know. All right.
We as a channel do not endorse mushrooms. Just to let
Yeah.
everyone know.
Don't take drugs, guys. No
Don't
I
take
drugs.
drugs.
was talking about
No
white
drugs.
mushrooms, enoki mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms.
Cool. You know your mushrooms, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bro.
you know your mushrooms. Yeah. The encyclopedia of mushrooms, right there. Boy.
No, we weren't talking about drugs. You guys are hallucinating. Must be.
Ooh, nice one to twist that. Nguyen, how are you? How's lockdown treating you?
So I've been good pretty much. Lockdown. I'm on annual leave from work. I'm trying to get a lot of work done. At the moment, I'm writing down a lot of stories and a lot of ideas that I want to create. Just for like more awareness and more issues, like bringing up issues and things that need to be addressed. Just really doing that, but also working on a bit of client work as well, because I've got a lot of people that want us to collaborate and work with. So it's been quite good. It's been productive. I think it's been productive. So
Yeah,
it's going good so far. And how about
I
you?
definitely feel like being in lockdown, even though it's a bit rubbish and you can't really go out and see anyone, at the same time, it really gives you like time to focus on your work, especially if you're creative. Like I know so many people that had obviously gigs and like things booked, but because suddenly everything got cancelled, it really gave them the time to settle down and be like, this is the project that I really wanted to do. I'm going to go out and do it. So yeah, I guess you're taking advantage of that as well.
Yeah, I think like what you said is a time for like proper creatives to really like, they can't do nothing else outside, but it's for them to come inside and like really think about what they really want to achieve. And like really refine their goals and skills and everything they can do at home. It's kind of like time to reflect.
Yeah.
And some people take it serious. Some people just don't do nothing. It's just really how you make the most of it. Yeah.
Unpopular opinion. I love lockdown.
You're making us look bad because
No. I'm not trying to make anyone look bad.
Like,
Because
Oh no, I know where this is going, boy. Lamb, why you gonna stick up like that?
the first lockdown that happened, everyone else was doing podcasts, and then me and Michael were like, "Oh man, it's lockdown. Should we just chill?"
Hey, I've got a living to think about. I was trying to make bread, man. I lost half my income as an actor, bro. So it was I've got an excuse. Lamb, what was yours?
I really wanted to play PS4. It had been a long time since I had touched it. I'd brushed the dust off.
Michael just neglected his PS4, and so it's just kind of like he wants to go back to reminisce with his ex.
That's it. Yeah.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time, so
I needed to fire the romance back with my PS4. get into it.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell us a bit about yourself first, like what you do, how you got there, and kind of like the different projects you've been working on?
Oof. Do you want it short or long?
However you want, bro.
Well, like just imagine we're your friends and you're telling us about what you're doing, like what's going on in your life.
So how I got here. So the main question is how I got here. So back in 1996.
Welcome to the memoir of Quyen D Nguyen.
We'll go through my entire life.
Chapter 1, 1996.
Directors, man, they always got a story to tell.
Yeah. It was a cold, dark autumn's day.
Let's rewind. Let's go back to Vietnam, and then when my parents coming over.
Snap. So you were born in Vietnam?
No. My parents were born in Vietnam, but I was born here. Yeah, but they came over. Yeah. I don't know if you want that story now, but we can go through that if you wish.
Don't be shy, man.
But okay, we can go through that. I'll summarize it right up. So my parents come from Vietnam, Hai Phong. So they came over here obviously to seek a better life. for themselves and also their future generations. I believe this was in around the 80s when it came over, actually, and I was born in 1996. So when they came over, they literally had nothing. They literally worked in manufacturing and literally did every little job there and there to really keep up a living for themselves and for us. And I remember like growing up, they always said how like you guys, you know, me and my siblings, we had so much in our lives that we take granted for, which they never had in their lives. So I'm pretty sure you guys can, you know, feel the same. Man. You know, it's the same thing with you guys. So they basically said that growing up and like they had nothing and really they didn't really have much to eat as well. Like I know this specific story where like my mom says what she would eat is basically, you know, like flour. It's like an Asian flour and you put water in it.
Yeah.
Starch or something like that.
Yeah.
She said she would literally have cornstarch and water, mix it.
It's like
that's it.
I think it's like potato flour.
Yeah, potato flour. So that's it for the entire day. And then she'll eat with like banana skin, like literally banana skin, orange skin. And I'm thinking this is crazy. Like, and they used to live on a boat actually. So like from where they come from to be here is like a massive like journey for them. And like sometimes I think about as a kid when I was younger, I used to think about it and I was like, yeah, whatever. But now it's more of like, wow, it's just like as you get older, you get to appreciate kind of like what your parents go through, how much sacrifice they go through just to bring you a better life. Yeah. And even though they might come off as traditional or stubborn, I feel like at the end of the day, I still appreciate them for everything they do and love them as much as I can. Yeah. Even though they do be a bit annoying, but still love them. Yeah. I still love them to them. You know.
I get what you mean, because as a kid growing up, you can't really appreciate the kind of sacrifice they went through, because all you know is the life that you have now. You're like, oh, I can't believe you used to do all of this. Like, come on, like that's so weird and strange. But then, I definitely know what you mean. When you get older, you finally start to appreciate the sacrifice that they went through, not just their living standards back in Vietnam, but then having to acclimatize to a whole new culture and a whole new way of living as well. Like trying to navigate through that. Yeah, definitely, bro. But
deep story.
So rather than making loads of money and making sure they have a comfortable life so you can repay them, you decided to take the artistic route and decided to tell stories about this instead. I'm not that ain't like it's just more like
it's
these stories are important to you. These stories are important to you, so that's how you
know what it is. So with my parents, they're traditional, but they're not kind of like, I would say I never grew up. This is probably slightly different to what you guys had. Growing up, I never had that. Oh, you have to get straight A's.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. They're not that kind of like grades. You have to be doctor, dentist.
But no. This thing, you didn't. I didn't have to get straight A's, but I had to go to church and pray.
Oh, that was
the difference.
That's not that bad. I mean,
there was something else that love with it. It was something else I love with it.
Some families got to do both, though. Some families got to get good grades and go to church.
That's true. So
they're the ones that get a peak.
Yeah. So the ones that would be. Yeah. I mean, shout out to those guys. You know, I know you had let's say a full of experience childhood. With, you know, the constant praying
character.
And
so did you
character? That's the one.
Did you go to Vietnamese church?
I did actually. I used to go to the one in Poplar.
You went to the one in Poplar. That was so bait.
My fiance and like loads of her friends used to go there. I was a bait place.
Yeah,
no.
That was the link up for the Vietnamese community.
It was a hot place. It's still a hotspot to this very day. Literally, you can go there, and then you can meet like probably like 10 of your aunties, 10 of your uncles that you've never met in your life, your cousins, and your you know what I mean. This is like what the hell's going on?
Proper link up.
It could be possible that Lamb is like your distant uncle.
Maybe you never know. He could be my, could be my cousin. Who knows?
I'm sure because Trang's, my fiance's family, they used to always go there as well. And they used to know bare people, so maybe they know your parents or something, or like friends or something.
We might be in-laws or something right now. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
I might go ask my mum. Well, mum, do you know a Michael Lamb?
Oh yeah, I know him.
He's like, yeah, I know that guy. He's from he's from this guy to this guy, this guy, this guy. I'm thinking, okay, I'm lost.
I would be very surprised if your mum turns around and says, "Oh yeah, I know because I listened to the podcast."
Yeah, that would be
definitely not happening. That's
That would be
probably that would be a shocker because you probably need to do Vietnamese subs, which I get. I mean, I'm not sure you guys do.
I wouldn't even know where to start.
We've had some Vietnamese guests. Hopefully, maybe you want to go through our history and translate it all into Vietnamese for us. Shouts to you, man.
Even though I did go Vietnamese school, I'm not the best. I'm really not the best at Vietnamese. Yeah.
Oh, a similar story. I went Chinese school for like how many years? Still not good.
So you mentioned that your mum and dad didn't really mind that about getting good grades so like you were never really put that on under that pressure to do well in like school and that. So has that led to you being like has you being a director ever been a problem with you and your like family, or have they supported you in this ability that you have to storytell?
I would say my parents have always been supportive of what I've been doing as a person, as long as I maintain a kind of like I will always be like a good moral person, if that makes sense. Like I always be like a good boy, if that makes sense. It's like kind of like I don't do any drugs, or I don't do anything like fraud, scam or anything. It's just like anything that's bad.
Okay, yeah.
So
I get that.
They seen it from a religious point of view. It's kind of like at least go to church, pray sometimes, but with your grades, do the best you can. It's not like, oh, you can fail. Oh, boy, if I got an F, I'll pass. I definitely pass. Obviously, I didn't pass. I didn't fail. There'll be consequences. Obviously, like if I was a bad child in school. I remember in Sunday school actually, I wouldn't pay attention to the kids. I mean, not the kids, to the teachers, and I actually get whipping back at home. So like, I do get that. Yeah.
So it's more about they just want you to be a respectful kid and just making sure you're on the grow up to be not straight and narrow, but kind of just a respectful person, a moral person, like a morally
good
person.
Somebody who's a good example to society, right?
Yeah, like a good example. They wanted me to just make a good example of myself, and literally just be myself, but like do the best I can in wherever I want to pursue, as long as it's not like something crazy or something, not crazy, but like that's like bad. Like if it's something really bad, then it's just something that they will not condone, and they'll be like, they probably take me back to the attic, and you won't see me for probably a couple of years. I come back and I'm starting praying straight from the back.
That's blessed though. That sounds like you have a very stable and family, stable, happy family. I think that's a nice way.
It's stable and happy, I guess you can say so. Obviously, with every single, I say, family, there's always like a underlying issue sometimes, or an issue that's there.
Yeah.
Could be
that's just family.
That's just family to family, and there's always something that's going on.
So we kind of found you through. I just kind of wanted to chat about like how we actually found you and like how we got to the work that you did. So we found you through an Instagram account called Viet Londoners, who kind of do a lot of great stuff, trying to promote kind of talent within the Vietnamese community in London. And then she posted a short clip of your video. I watched it and I was like, wow, this is really incredible. It just kind of hit the kind of issue that we're facing like square on the head, and it was done like in a really artistic way. So we'll kind of talk about it more later, but we kind of just wanted to ask first, how long have you been kind of directing and writing? Like what kind of made you do it in the first place? Like what were your inspirations from?
So, okay, no worries. Let me just press OK again. Sorry, it says thank you for choosing the Zoom. They said it had unlimited. No, I was like, what's that unlimited minutes?
What did I just?
It's like, what did I just buy? I mean, did I just buy?
I hacked it.
So you just paid for our Zoom for the entire year. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think what's happened.
If you see something come out of your bank account, you know where it came from.
All you see is Michael. Don't know which one, just Michael under the reference.
Yeah,
It's
and
like,
then you don't know who to blame.
don't know who to
The
blame.
That's why we
legalities.
keep that mystery.
Yeah. Okay, so the question was how did I get up to the stage? I think I'm gonna link it to the question that you posted me. You asked me previously about like how my parents influenced me. So how did I get into it? So as a kid, you know, I didn't really feel like I was kind of academic in a sense where I didn't really not have talent, but I didn't possess, you know, great academic thinking. I don't know, like maths and English for me they're okay. Like and do excel really well. But then I would study. Well, of course, my parents would make me study, and I would try my best, but it wouldn't come to fruition. Like
Yeah, it wasn't like a natural.
it wasn't a natural thing for me. And
Yeah.
and when I tried like my hand at kind of like art, I just felt like it was way more expressive because I did art at secondary school. So I thought like this is like way much more for me. So in a sense where art is kind of like my foundation and kind of like what I've watched as a consumer. So as a kid, I remember I always used to love watching like a lot of like films. And also for me, growing up is a bit typical as an Asian person, but I grew up like watching a lot of anime. So
I knew that was coming.
yeah, I was gonna slap that, you know, anime card just coming up. You know what I mean?
Trust me.
So you know, so one of the animes that I like to highlight here is basically Naruto. So
Yes.
so
It's gotta be the OG.
it's the OG,
anime.
literally.
It's the OG anime. It's
Yeah,
like
you can't go wrong with it. I mean, like, okay, sometimes I mean towards the end of it they long it out, but for what it stands for as a kid, like it will always be forever in my heart.
Yeah.
But the main reason why is because in Naruto, there's so much meanings in it. Like everything he goes through is a life lesson. I treat anime as pretty much you can watch it and get so much from it.
Yeah.
That's when I start deep in it. It's kind of like what he's going through, as like even though he's a character, you know, in an anime, I can somewhat relate to him and somewhat learn from what his actions and what he's doing.
Yeah.
How he, you know, how his childhood was, how he's trying to obviously be better. You know, no one thought that he would become, you know, Kage and but you know he ended up being there and everyone loved him just because of his sheer hard work and all the obstacles and tribulations that he that he had to go through. Sorry. So that kind of inspired me in a sense. It just kind of inspires me to be a better person, but also kind of like from what I've watched to really take it in and be like, whoa, like this is amazing content. And I feel like with media, you can change lives. And I think keep going with the question is, so starting from secondary school, you have the art side of things. But I think it was in college. So in college is where I took up media, film, and sociology. So when you entwine the three subjects together with sociology, I got to understand kind of like the social aspects of media and how powerful it is. Because mass media is kind of like one of the agents of socialization. Sorry.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Massive.
It can condition your mind so much.
It can condition and you know influence your mind so much. And in a modern generation, media is like probably I say number one. It might be just number one. Because even straight when babies come out of the room. Is it exactly? So like, literally, a baby would come out and they would have an iPad. Literally, I just see that happening in the future. They'll come out and it comes default with an iPad.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
that's happening now. That's today.
It's crazy, right?
Crazy the amount of media that you have to consume.
Yeah, it's so going with that. So literally, this was like a couple of years back now. So like you were thinking about 2012, right? When I was in college. So I was studying literally sociology, media, and film studies, and with the combination of the three, I kind of like wanted to make films and content that kind of changes the narrative, that challenges the narrative, that tackles issues, that highlights things that people don't speak about or things that I feel strongly about. Because then I feel like this is the way I express myself, and I feel like people, some people might agree, some people might disagree, but it's up to me to obviously change it and put it out there so then people can obviously watch it, consume it, and I can convey that message, and as long as I can do that, I can make change, even in the slightest. It makes a lot, because then if you influence your bubbles, and then that person will bring it to another bubble, and then the slow change is like a domino effect. That's what my goal is, to just have like a domino effect and just change people's minds for the better. Kind of get them more educated, more kind of open to different perspectives as a human being. But then that's based on literally media, film, and sociology, and understanding kind of where media comes from and how powerful it is as a tool. And as a filmmaker and media studies, student, I got to understand the concept of basically like directing and the media side of things, just combining it to make sure that I make something meaningful and impactful for my audiences. But I had to kind of refine it through the years, in a sense, whereas I think in college I was mainly, because obviously in college you just have fun. You don't really make things for like the meaningful factor yet.
Yeah. You're just kind of experimenting.
You just experiment. You just do the green. You just take the camera and you don't even know what you're doing with the camera.
You're at that playful stage, aren't you?
You're just recording for fun,
It's just recording for fun. It's literally, it's just literally recording for fun. And we would just be filming, and it would just be like, generic kind of actions or horrors or something like that. Yeah. That really like, when I filmed these type of projects, it's kind of like I liked it, but it didn't mean a lot to me. Does that make sense?
There wasn't a good moral.
My soul wasn't there. Like I want to integrate a part of me into that film as a filmmaker.
It felt like it didn't. Maybe it didn't have any substance, or like, okay, I created this, but what is it trying to say?
It was trying to say it didn't have no substance, or it didn't have anything that I really attached myself to, like kind of like what I'm really proud of. Because basically with the projects that I make recently, more recently, is like with my short films, is like I feel like way much more like proud of myself, and more like kind of like more infused with the project itself, rather than the projects that I did when I was
just kind of like watching your stuff. It's clear that kind of identity and the experience of being
that's the thing, like, identity,
so integral to what you're creating. It's funny what you say about the sociology aspects as well, and how media plays such an important role in dictating how society perceives things. I don't know if you've seen the kind of petition that's been going around, like stop the media depiction of East Asians around COVID.
I don't know. I have not seen that. I have not seen it.
So it's like on the BBC, like loads of media outlets, whenever they're talking about COVID, they would put, say they're talking about a COVID issue in Glasgow or like in Edinburgh or wherever, they'd put like an Asian face as a hero image.
Wow.
Even when it has nothing to do with like Asian people at all, because they're talking about something national.
It's just there's no subject of an Asian in there. It's just talk about COVID and associating that with East Asians.
And that was just happening all over the place. Like we would see it on the BBC, on Sky News, etc.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So then we start, this amazing podcaster, Viviao, kind of activist, Viviao, she created this petition to say, stop doing this to media outlets. And it actually managed to get like 15,000 signatures.
They actually talked about it in Parliament.
Yeah, to try and stop.
Yeah. It was. It's massive.
But then,
what's the outcome of that, anyways?
So, loads of other grassroots movements have started off of the back of this. So there's like Be Seen, there's like End the Virus to Racism, and then it got talked about in Parliament to try and stop this. So there has been a lot of movement, but I think that's why I feel like your video is so important as well, because obviously these are stereotypes that are being aimed at towards us, and then the media is a direct influencer of this. So it was kind of like, felt like your video was really tackling that issue as well, that not all Asians are associated with COVID.
There's one thing I want to mention beforehand though. It's so you said that you kind of surprised by the fact that I haven't heard of the news, right? So for me, even though this is very weird, I don't know if anyone else can relate to this, but as a filmmaker, someone that creates content, I'm not a heavy media user. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
For example, I tend to avoid a lot of social medias.
Yeah.
in a sense where I am like, I don't really follow the news a lot, and a lot of things that kind of like the news that I hear from is like from my own research, or either someone has like kind of like said to me, and obviously I kind of checked online just to make sure that everything's, you know, if something I'm interested in, then I look online, it's like, oh, damn, this is really going on. Then obviously it's a true story. But for me, I am a person that I try to stay as much as possible from media, only because like I feel like when there's so much media and so much to consume, like kind of like I don't like being bombarded, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I just feel like it distracts you and it lowers your productivity. I mean, you can use it efficiently, but literally I think before about around 4 months ago, I didn't have Instagram pretty much. Like pretty much my page was like kind of I wouldn't use Instagram or Facebook for like years, like a year or so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll be completely disconnected. But the kind of the relate, you know, the kind of not epiphany, but like kind of the experience you get from being disconnected. Like I wouldn't recommend it for everyone. I mean, if you can do it, if you can do it.
I
But
think there's a fine line of
yeah, there's a fine line,
yeah, of it being very, very useful in the sense of
yeah,
putting out a very, very good message,
yeah,
or even sharing, you know, content like
mhm,
you created, and
yeah.
for that to actually
So
get more traction. It
yeah,
can be so helpful, and then at the same time,
yeah,
yeah, you're very, very right. It can detriment your
yeah,
mental health, because you know there's a whole slew of other problems that have arisen from,
yeah,
you know, the heavy use of social media, you know, including
mhm,
Instagram, Snap, Twitter, like all of it
so yeah,
has a profound
mm,
effect on our behaviors, and how people are constructing their thoughts because
Yeah.
mhm,
of what they're receiving. But at the same time, it's
yeah.
a double-edged blade. It's so
Yeah,
good because
double-edged blade. Yeah, I would say so, definitely for sure. Because as a person that hasn't really kind of used media a lot, kind of like you feel like you're behind a bit in a sense. And to be honest, this is my first Zoom call.
Oh, really?
ever.
This is my first Zoom call. Yeah, congratulations,
Damn.
guys. This is my
Okay.
first Zoom call. Uh,
we
so
I'm glad
the
your
ask,
first one was with us, you know?
yeah, literally. So yeah, this is my first Zoom call.
This is the new
Um,
world now.
it's the new world right now. So with the social media type thing, is the only reason why I strayed away from it is basically because I think at first it was more so for the the mental side of things. I feel like, and I just want to get away to that disattach and just really like focus on myself, because I really like time off just to really like think about things, or think about where I'm going, think about ideas and stuff. But I realized like with the project that I'm creating, it needed to, you know, be out there, if that made sense. Like the project
Yeah.
I created in England, I needed to get out there. My main
Yeah.
mission was like, you know, even though I'm not avid social media user, but I have to react to it, because this is how I'm going to communicate
It
this
needs to
message
be
and
seen, right?
convey it.
And
It needs
yeah,
to be
yeah.
seen. I need to raise awareness, because in a sense where like I've gone to a point in my kind of like somewhat career. I mean, I haven't had a long career, but
Everyone
I've
starts
gone to,
somewhere.
yeah, it's starts
Yeah.
somewhere. So I've reached a point where like I have to go online. I have to go online to, you know, showcase kind of like what I can do, and also to mainly raise awareness and literally convey the message that I'm trying to project in my projects, and to make sure that
Yeah.
people understand and get the message, which is the main thing. So literally like I would say like 2 months ago, I activated again all my stuff, all my media stuff is all back up, and then
Yeah.
trying to obviously push it out and make sure that everyone can share and watch the video that the short film that I created
Yeah.
recently.
That's it. So I suppose that kind of leads on to the video that we were talking about, Ignorant. For those of you that haven't watched it, it's just really kind of a clip about the experience of an East Asian person going through living a world where there is COVID, and how the experiences are different to the normal person, because as well as trying to avoid the virus itself, we have to deal with the prejudice and the discrimination that Asians face at the same time. So if you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. It's really good to watch.
You can find it on
But you,
on YouTube, innit, right?
Yeah, if you search Ignorant short film, or even check my portfolio, Quyen no, QD-Nguyen.com. It's all there. I'm sure films there. My portfolio is there. So.
Nice
But,
little plug there.
Did you did you film that?
Just in case
Did
I find it.
did you film that during lockdown, or was it like
So-
how was that? Because it's quite a difficult project to do anyway, because you have to communicate with so many different people, like cinematographers, actors, like sound people. But to do that during lockdown as well, especially during the COVID world, like what was that like?
So, so this idea was actually in production in January.
Okay.
Beginning
so,
of
So
January.
basically, I made the script. I came up with the idea because I was experiencing a bit as well. Because at the start, even in December, people, I can see the stares are different.
Yeah.
People, looking at me different.
We felt that during that
I'm
time of year.
thinking,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? How can
That's
you
weird.
just associate me with the virus? Because I mainly blame the media, but we can go into that a bit later, but I'm just going to focus on the story. So in December, I felt it, like I literally felt how it influenced kind of how people interact with, people of East Asian, identity or origin. So I can see it. And then obviously in January, then I thought of a good idea, like, why don't I start writing a script about it? Because then it's something that I feel strongly about. And then what kind of like, I think, powered it forward was basically I wouldn't say inspired, because it's bad to say inspired, but I would say I was pushed forward to create this idea and finish the script. I mean, the script was almost finished, but pushed forward to finish the script when, if you guys heard, there was like a BBC report on a Singaporean student who got attacked on Oxford Street.
In
So
Oxford
when
Street,
that story first came out, then I was like, no, I need to make this.
It was kind of like the catalyst to say
Like this is the catalyst.
needs to be told.
This needs to be told. And so I completed the script. I think it was around Feb March times, and obviously with the lockdown that came in to effect, I couldn't really film. So I thought, this is such a shame, because literally I was ready to go. I had all my actors, had all my crew ready to go, and literally lockdown, couldn't film. And I was like, that's such a shame. But then it's still a story that needed to be told, because I still feel like even now it's still happening, like even more perhaps, because it's still
probably even worse, because I just feel like the general public are so frustrated with having to be in lockdown for so long, having to restrict their lives for so long, that they just need to find
someone to blame.
Yeah, they need to find a scapegoat.
And like in a way, let's say that us we are the scapegoat, but in a sense, whereas we're not. In a way, they can push us around. They feel like they can push us around. That makes sense, because we are seen as more of the passive race. I mean, we're just gonna take it, and that's what I just somewhat don't agree upon a bit. It's kind of like they see us as a bit of the more passive, and then we're not gonna have a reaction to it. Yes.
Yeah, you kind of discussed that or kind of showed that in your other short film labels as well.
So I literally got like from labels to ignorant. Like that's what I was trying to show in the first one, because that's what happened to me like in multiple times. But for me, I just think I don't want to get into the hassle of be saying like, you shouldn't say that or something like that. I'm just gonna walk on with my life, and it's not gonna affect me. Just be a good person. But there's obviously there's many times I just want to turn around, like, why do you have to say that? Like, well, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't do anything to you, you didn't do anything to me. Like, what's the issue here? Like,
there's a fine line of being like trying to be the bigger person and trying to be the morally right person, and trying to not stoop to that level. But at the same time, I think it's difficult for us to do that, because we understand the stereotype that comes along with being the kind of, I'm just gonna let it slide,
being that kind of inferior ethnicity. As
very quotation marks.
So even though we're just trying to be like morally sound, and like we don't want to stoop to their level and condone sort of violence, but at the same time, you're like, I know you're just doing this because you think I'm not going to say anything back. So I think I think for East Asians, that's such a big conflict, like an internal conflict that we have to face. It's like, what do we do? But I completely agree. I mean,
what would you do, Lam? What would you do in that situation? If someone said that to you now, would you move to it? Would you like?
I would definitely speak my voice, and I'll be like, no, purely because I just understand how much, how many of these small moments, exactly like that scenario you're describing, can affect the larger picture. If you let it slide once, then you're just kind of saying that it's okay for that guy to do those sort of things. If you let it slide once, then they're just gonna think it's okay to do it again and again. So to me, I would definitely have to speak up and say, you can't just fucking do that. You have to call them out, because if you're not going to do it, no one else is going to do it for you, and it's just
I
going to.
think I totally agree. Is a situation where like if you let them do it, they're gonna keep doing it again. That makes sense.
I think what's risky though is obviously in this day and age, people are worried about getting attacked, and those attacks are obviously more prominent. So, like, personal advice is, if you are not ready for that risk, please do not step up to it.
Yeah, please.
In case you get stabbed. Like,
True,
people are
yeah.
moving mad, but obviously, like, in my personal case, I think, you know, I have the kind of ability to say that, and I'm a little bit more confident in my ability. But if you're a kid and you're
But
like
then-
5 or 6,
Yeah.
and some 18-year-old is, run for your life, man. Don't
It should never, but it should never ever stoop to that level of violence anyway. 'Cause
Yeah.
if they're just calling you
Mm.
whatever, this and that, I mean, just use your language. Like, just
I
know
think
your
there
rights.
is still that risk though, that there
No.
is, you know, physical violence.
Yeah, of course.
Could
But
you
then-
look at those that auntie who got pushed in the river. There was that grandma who got set alight, obviously, and they're obviously, you know, not got the physical capabilities to maybe protect themselves as well. So it's very difficult for us to say, hey, everyone out there should go up and stand up for yourself. If someone's, like, you know, shouting derogatory stuff at you, I'm not saying that yes, you should just let it be, but obviously don't look for the fight, because at the end of the day, your life is most important, and I think you have to share those experiences. And again, like what Gwen is doing, you know, making content that has such a strong message, like that is more powerful than anything. Like, standing up in that particular situation may not always be the best call, just obviously for personal safety. We're not saying everybody
I don't know
out
if
there.
I agree with you, Michael.
Oh, bro, I'm not trying to get like 18-year-olds like
I don't
stabbed
know.
out here.
I don't know if I agree with you, but
I think
okay,
it's
get
good
it.
that we
Look,
do
if
talk about
they're-
it like that.
If they're being violent,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, if they're
What do you
just
think?
saying something to you, if
Yeah.
they're just saying something to you, right? Because it's never going to start off. They're just going to run up to you and smack you in the face. Like, even in the most extreme cases, that's like extremely rare. Normally, 90% of altercations will start verbally, right? Or even just through eye contact, right?
I think
So you
I
can
think,
match
yeah.
you can match their verbal match their verbal abuse with your own line of communication. You can be intelligent enough and woke enough to be able to put down those racists, because
But
there's
what if they're
enough
not?
literature and there's enough of that. But then you can just walk away. You don't have to you don't have to raise the stakes to violence. Do you know what I mean?
Correct.
It's only when it gets violent.
I
It's only
think
when it gets physically violent that
it's very
it's a
dicey,
different
though,
level.
Lam. It's very dicey, because obviously, you think about that auntie who was just,
I just think
minded her
well,
own
that's a
business.
completely different situation, because that started
Like,
with violence.
that escalated rapid, and there's no, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
And
it didn't start with your whatever. They just set her on fire.
no, not her, the one that got pushed into the
Yeah, same then. But
the
that's
river.
like it was extremely triggering and like really shocking. But that's got to be less than 1% of how it typically goes down. You know,
I think, yeah,
you can't let those situations scare you.
For me personally, I don't. But it's like, I can't advise other people to go out, and I think it's such a beautiful example. And knowing that you should stand up for what you are is very, very strong. But I don't want people to physically get hurt. Like, and those racist attacks are happening now. Obviously, not to be like scaremongering, but I think there's a very thin line. And obviously, us having this platform, we have to not push people to seek out that retribution, like to be, okay, that person said something to me, let me stand up to them, and then what if that person gets hurt? Like, I worry that that's on my head, you know what I mean? So I think it's a very, very fine line. And don't get me wrong, I agree with you totally as well. Like, in the sense that yes, you should stand up for yourself, but it's a fine line. It's a
It's
fine.
not just standing up. It's just not standing up for yourself. It's just standing up to racism. Full stop.
Yeah, and I think that as a
you can't just allow racism to happen.
not correct, but
And the more you let it slide,
if there's like say
then
3 men and they're shouting something racist at you whilst you're walking past, I don't think it's wise for that one person to stand up to those 3 people, and you have to pitch it to the situation. You know what I mean?
you just
have
need to read the sitch.
yeah, because not every situation demands that you vocally say
Retaliation.
something, right? And I think would you agree with us, Gwen, there? Like, because obviously we're in 2 kind of minds about it, but I think it's a very, very difficult line. Did you find that in your when you were creating ignorant and labels, like it was a difficult line as well to kind of demonstrate in media, because obviously you could there was in labels there's that part where they're very, very close together and it looks like they might get into an altercation. And did you find like maybe you wanted to go a different way with that story, like maybe it gets into a punch up, because you did do that in ignorant, but it has a different effect?
So with me, I don't want to promote violence. It's like I don't think violence is the key to everything. I think that's definitely shouldn't be your first solution, and then never. I think you should try to avoid the violence as much as you can. So with the 2 films, ideally I didn't want to involve violence, but like I think it got to a stage where like violence can be very impactful. If that makes sense. So in a way, if the story not requires, but say if the story can be powered by an act of violence, or it's acted out like an act of violence on screen that propels kind of like the message and the narrative that I was trying to deliver, then I would use it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But then the audience will get a better understanding of what the meaning is, the story meaning.
Yeah.
So in labels, I thought to myself, I can use violence, but I want it to be like a everyday type of confrontation. Whereas in where like someone, he just walking down the street and he gets names and several walking down continuing his journey home or wherever, then he not retaliates but questions the guy who name called him.
It definitely felt more realistic watching labels like this is something that would actually happen on the street, rather than you just get into a massive scuffle.
Exactly, like it wouldn't evolve into like a massive fight. Fight. I mean, unlikely. It will be unlikely too. But I was just exploring the what if scenario of kind of like, what if the guy turns around and he just says like, what's the deal? Like, how come you calling me these names? And that's all I wanted to convey, because usually the usual like stereotypical label thing to do is just literally keep walking. That's our tendency and our natural reaction is just ignore the guy and just proceed with your day. No need to retaliate, just be passive. So that's what I wanted to convey in a sense. But in ignorant, it was completely different, where like the entire film of ignorant was not based, but like it was kind of like powered forward by what happened to the Singaporean student in terms of the attack that he got, and how media has influenced us to a certain stage where there's other people out there that's actually using violence against Asian individuals, which is definitely not correct at all. Like, it's just completely wrong. Sorry, it's just bad.
It's just so extreme, right?
So extreme. It's just I obviously I can see the stairs and everything, but then for the violence to come in, everything to happen, it's just kind of like it's just blown out proportion. I just feel like this is something that needs to be like shown on screen. Like, this is what happens. I'm not gonna, what's the word when you make things like more like easier to consume. But I don't
You're not
want to
gonna
like
simplify it. You're not gonna
simplify. Not simplify it. It's like kind of like make it more easier to like to consume or to swallow. But it's basically kind of like I didn't want to shy away from the truth, if that makes sense. So
You
I
wanted it
wanted
to
to
be as
display it.
brutal
You did-
as it
You
really
didn't
Yeah,
want
I wanted.
to,
Yeah,
you didn't,
I
you
wanted
didn't want to dilute it.
Yeah, I didn't want to dilute it. Yeah, so basically, I didn't want to dilute what was actually happening, and I wanted to tell like a true event, a story. I mean, true event that actually happened, actually occurred to someone. You know what I mean? So that's what I wanted to do, and I thought, yes, I have to incorporate an act of violence in my script because this is the only way I'm going to portray it and not dilute it. Because if I dilute it, then I'm not saying the true message. That makes sense. This is not the way I
no,
want to convey.
100% agree.
This is not the truth. Yeah.
What
So
you're displaying there is like as real as it gets. And I think
yeah,
whether the audience is East Asian and we can relate to that experience, or the audience is there, the vast other ethnicities that they can also see how that's hurting the East Asian community, because really it should be a one world community, but there's so much specific things that happen to those ethnicities that other people don't even know about. Like, when I talk about the East Asian racism is up, and when I talk to other people, like when I went Manchester the other day and I was talking to some Caucasians that were working with me then, and they were like, oh, I had no clue, I didn't know that this was a thing. I'm really, really shocked. And so hopefully, like, you making content like this that's so real, and pushing it out there into the world, hopefully other audiences and all eyes can see it and understand the severity of the situation, and the offset of those those images are getting attached to COVID news and all these new stereotypes that are coming up, that if you're East Asian, you brought COVID, like where we need to really, really get the message out clearer, because we just can't trust main media now, like any institutionalized media. We can't even trust it.
Yeah,
it's so peak. There's an agenda.
It feels like the narrative and conversation around East Asians is mirroring what the conversation was like for Muslims like 20 years ago. Do you know how, like, before 9/11 no one ever talked about Muslims being like terrorists or whatever, but then suddenly 9/11 happened, and then suddenly that was the whole narrative that was been pushed for 20 years, and as a result the rise in Islamophobia has been like absolutely rife. Do you know what I mean? And it feels like COVID is that triggering point where you can see that slowly progressing, like, to East Asians. And it's like, if we don't start warning the wider masses, or like other ethnicities and other cultures, that this is happening and we're going down that same road, then everyone's just going to be passive to it. Everyone's just going to not realize it's happening until they've been conditioned to the point where they didn't even know they were conditioned to think that way. So I feel like videos like Ignorant and Labels is just a way of kind of fighting back that torrent. So yeah, just mirroring what you said, Michael, it's just like so important for it to get out there.
And that's what I was trying to achieve by, like, like what you said, is everything was done for that purpose of getting it out there, people to see and push that narrative, so that people would understand, and of all races that we're going through that in that direction. And it's something that obviously we should stand against, because it's just not right. Because
if none of this was an issue, right, and the world was perfect, what would be your dream project? Like, what story would you want to tell?
And say you had like an unlimited budget,
unlimited budget.
Oh yeah.
Unlimited budget. You had whatever cast you wanted.
You access to everybody. Access to everyone. You could even have access to me for free.
Okay, you guys ready for this?
Yeah.
Born ready, bro.
What? Rush Hour 5.
Rush Hour 5.
What would happen? What's the storyline? Break it down. Why you want to do Rush Hour 5?
No, okay, I love Rush Hour, but I don't think it would be Rush Hour 5. But I mean, Rush Hour 5 does have, you know, is a comedy, is really lighthearted for the family, and I feel like when Rush Hour came out, you know, it does enforce some stereotypes, I guess, but it's kind of like a good community film in a sense where it incorporates
I felt like
different races.
I get what you mean with Rush Hour.
People
Like,
can enjoy it.
There were a few Asian stereotypes, but it didn't feel like we were that like a massive butt of the joke. Like it felt like everyone could enjoy it at the same time. It didn't feel like it was divisive in these Asians are like this. It just felt like, oh yeah, that's kind of funny that they kind of do that. That's kind of true. And then we could all kind of it was kind of building bridges towards around these cultures, right? Even
I liked it. I mean, it really built on that kind of the Black and the Chinese community, like actually just working together and seeing like those comedic parts of like how you know you would react. Like I've had people literally, you know, recite lines from Rush Hour, but like, you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Like, like those lines, like, and they actually get me, like, because it's like hilarious. Honestly.
And
do you guys remember the?
I was gonna say, you know, the scene in Rush Hour 1 where they're in the snooker house, and then the guy smoking.
Oh yeah.
And then so Chris Tucker goes, "What's up, Matt?" And then he says the N-word. Jackie Chan tried to say the exact same thing, saying the N-word.
Yeah, that was funny.
Even though obviously you can't actually say that, it never felt like Jackie Chan was being like racist or like.
No,
do you know what I mean? Even black people could enjoy that joke because
he was trying to fit in. It was trying to like it was perfect for the storyline. It wasn't like something that was unnecessary. Like it actually showed like quite a because it's quite a taboo subject and made you know, happiness out of it. It made funniness.
Exactly. Just because, you know, Jackie Chan was obviously ignorant on the whole thing, and then he's just trying to fit in. It weren't like insidious in any way. Do you know what I mean? Like those sort of things where they kind of use those taboos and, you know, stereotypes and use it in a way to build a bridge rather than be like, oh no, you can't talk about this kind of thing. Yeah, man.
That would be there. So Rush Hour 5. That's we're looking forward to that. Hopefully you get a big budget, sign on, you get Jackie Chan, Chris Tucker again, boom. That would be phenomenal. And or if you want to do the series, because they actually made a Rush Hour series and it was like kind of horrific.
I had one look and I thought, nah, I literally that. Nah.
If you could redo that, shouts, man, shouts.
If I can do that,
let me be Jackie, please, get me. Don't forget me. But we was gonna
no, I feel like Gwen was gonna say something.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I was gonna answer your question. If I had like an unlimited budget, what would I do with it? Is it one film or what are we talking about? Like one or multiple?
Well, whatever way, if you feel like a series or like a franchise.
What am I limited to? So a franchise. Is it?
Anything.
You could do anything. So Rush Hour 5 was just a joke. You ain't really.
Yeah, it was a joke. It was a joke. I mean, I don't mind doing Rush Hour 5. I don't mind doing Rush Hour 5. Sign me up.
I thought you got that, Michael.
No, bro. I was believing that. So that wasn't even the real answer. Wow.
No,
gullible, guys.
In a way, Rush Hour 5 was it was a joke or not a joke in a sense.
It would be good to see, wouldn't it?
It would be definitely good to see, of course. And I wouldn't mind making Rush Hour 5 because I like the films.
So what's your real answer?
My real answer will have to be so it could be franchise or TV series. You know what? I feel like you know what's that TV series? Black Mirror.
Yeah.
So with Black Mirror, I'm not gonna steal the ideas, but I'm gonna literally incorporate that into probably my TV series because I think film, you can get a lot from a film, but you can get even more from a TV series.
Because you can add so much depth to it.
Episodes, and then each episode can be entitled. Obviously, with film, there's just literally you have an hour for it, or 2 hours, 3 hours max, right? You gotta do your thing.
Yeah.
Whereas, like for me, I have like collections of ideas, of little like things that people experience in everyday life that I want to highlight in each episode.
Okay, yeah,
That
yeah.
would be
So
awesome.
it'll be episodic. Each episode will highlight like a different
Yes, different,
kind of
different issue,
dystopian.
different. Yeah, literally.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Okay.
that
That would
is
be
kind of the
litty.
Black Mirror thing. Pardon?
That would be litty. That sounds like
Yeah,
really good.
yeah, it sounds
Like,
good, right?
I might have to delete that from the podcast so that nobody steals your idea.
But I think I would probably make a TV series, focusing on different issues on each episode, whatever it may be, but really actually incorporate all sides of kind of like issues in terms of like maybe East Asian as well, kind of like Asian, and even Caucasian, the Black community as well. Just
Yeah.
involve everyone, just literally highlight everyone, because everyone has the struggles. I'm not saying one is bigger than the other, but everyone has the struggles. That's the end of like as an ethnicity. And,
Everyone has their story.
everyone has a story. So every story that out there, I want to tell.
Yeah.
Like literally,
That's beautiful.
literally every story I want to tell.
I love how London has so many different ethnicities and cultures, and each one has their own story. Like you can be walking down the street, there'll be like a Somali man walking down the street. His backstory would be so different. Like his history, the way he came here would be so different, vastly different to what I came through, and yet we're just both in the same city. Like to me, that kind of blows my mind,
So, everyone has their own background, definitely for sure, and they all have different stories about this and that and how they grew up or what they experienced through their entire life. So my main goal is, what I would love is basically a TV series that it focuses on that, but also kind of like human scenarios. That makes sense. Like not something blown out of proportion, but very something human that kind of like everyone can relate to. Like kind of like people can relate to in their everyday life. It's not something like, oh, this somewhat can happen, kind of unlikely. But I want to take an everyday scenario of what people go through and in everyday life, but to highlight it and to address kind of the scenario there. Like for example, I don't know, maybe domestic abuse for men, like that, because that's a real story.
Yeah.
That's what that I would love to do that as well. Just highlight that issue, highlight that's going on, because obviously people know about it, but I don't think everyone knows about it, because it's actually a real thing that men do suffer domestic abuse as well as women. So, and that's like an everyday thing. Like this is like something that actually happens in everyday life. So that TV series will literally focus on, like, I don't know how long this TV series will be, hopefully endless, and then I can finance myself for the rest of my life. But that's what I would I think that's what I would go for, to be honest. If it's not a film, then it'll be like a very long TV series.
That sounds sick. I'm sure Michael will be up for acting that.
Yeah, bro. I mean, as long as I can be a part of that beautiful message, and but I like to steer to comedy side, because I've always felt like laughter is the medicine that will solve a lot of issues and joy. So
basically, Michael's ruled himself out of the job. He's not into the high drama.
I can do serious.
I
can do serious.
So
please don't cut me out. I can do it.
But funny thing is, a lot of audiences has reached out to me and be like, "How comes your films are so sad? Well, why is there no positive endings? Why can't the Asian guy, like
not
get his dream job?
Man.
I mean, or like." So I was like, the more I think about it, it's a bit sad sometimes. I mean, it is sad, definitely, for sure.
And you seem like a really happy guy as well, man.
I mean, I'm positive for myself, like, yeah, like this is my energy, so I'm just gonna be like, this is who I am. I'm happy because of where I am and also what I'm trying to achieve. So I'm just going in that direction, that line, to see how far I can go, to be honest, and hopefully I can change people's lives and norms and values for the better, and to improve society as a whole.
Wow,
so
that's you just sound like an upstanding, great human, probably the best Asian I've ever met. Like, lamb is not even this good.
It comes from church. It comes from church and your parents. Good.
I think that was such a beautiful note to leave with. But before like we kind of wrap up the show, we've just got One quick question. What do you make of the new wave of Asian movies that are coming out? So, Crazy Rich Asians. I
Yeah.
don't know if you've seen Over the
Okay.
Moon, Mulan,
I
Farewell.
see. I seen Over the Moon. Is it the animation with the?
Mm.
Yeah. I've seen it. I've seen it on Netflix. Yeah.
What
Have you
did you
seen
think of
Crazy?
it?
Yeah. Go.
Okay. So I feel like with the
Oh,
new wave of because you have the Marvel Shang-Chi coming up as well.
Yeah.
but that's not
So
out yet, so we don't count. We
that's
don't
not out
count
yet,
that.
but we don't count one. I feel like
But Mulan.
uh yeah, Milan, yeah, that's the one. Modern society has kind of adjusted and bringing in more Asian faces as kind of a norm. But in a way, even though I do like what they're doing, they're slowly bringing in because obviously like with Black Panther, that was a massive one for the black community. Whereas
Mm.
this there was the start of something in terms of Hollywood, in terms of the directors and actors and
Inclusion. Yeah.
inclusion. It's literally the inclusion, and in a way, with the Asian films that you said, it has brought that in, and obviously with the Marvel one because it's a bigger company, it's going to bring even more inclusion for all races and communities. But I feel like with the recent films, like it's kind of like I really like it, but I feel like there needs to be a certain blend. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Like you meaning like it's not perfect for all audiences yet. Like it's not
Yeah,
blending the kind of modern day
yeah.
society with the culture side of our side.
You know what it is? I feel like there's one thing that this I just literally thought of it. This one small specific thing is basically kind of focusing on um more of less of the traditional, I guess, and more of like kind of Asians in the Western society.
Yeah.
Just imagine, guys, a top boy with an Asian guy, an Asian lead.
Yeah.
Can we
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
that? Can we have top boy with an Asian lead?
Yeah. 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 I
Because I would
completely
love to
get
see
what you
that,
mean.
and I'd be like, that's amazing. I'd be like, whoa, I'd be blown away.
I completely get what you mean.
So that's
That's
what I
it.
want.
Yeah, I think
That's
that's
literally
the point we were making like last week when we talked about Over the Moon as well. It was just
the,
like it's great. It's a great step in the right direction, but
definitely.
it's not what we want to see yet.
Mm. It's definitely progress. Every film is definitely progress.
Yeah.
But what I want to see and what I'm kind of pushing towards and what I focus on as well is basically East Asians in East Southern Asians in Western society.
Yeah. Because you've
Yeah,
got a Chinese person living in China. Those sort of films,
yeah, those are the things.
those
But
sort of
that
experiences are so different to an East
what
Asian
we
immigrant
experience.
growing up in the UK
Mm,
or the US, and we don't have. I suppose Crazy Rich Asians kind of touched on that with like how she was from New
mm,
York and then she was raised in
yeah,
America and she had to go to China and it was all different. But yeah,
yeah,
seeing I would that same thing with me. I would love to see a story of like an Asian guy or girl and
yeah.
their experiences of living in London,
Mm.
and like what they go through and like that sort of story that's dramatized in a way that um all audiences would enjoy.
Well, Gwen wants
It's
to see
just
an East Asian top boy, so he wants to just know that East Asians can be bad.
Yeah, we can call it. We can call it
no, no, no.
14K. We can call it 14K.
It's literally just
It
for
would
diversity.
be
But
litty.
literally just imagine kind of like a Western society, like a Western scenario infused with Asian tradition. For example, imagine if you had a son from Hackney, I don't know, something like that, wherever, like Michael, or, you know,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
anyone
yeah.
like an Asian kid.
Link up at your parents' takeaway.
And then like
Like,
dealing drugs on
yeah.
the side.
No, they're not dealing drugs on the side, but it's more of like just like what they experience, like not drug dealing, but kind of like
No, we get it. I'm taking a mic, but
yeah,
those
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
experiences
London,
that we
It,
actually experience and
that
stuff like
kind of
exactly,
yeah, that
exactly,
UK
exactly.
experience.
yeah.
The UK experience, or even in the American experience as well of things.
Yeah,
And I just wish for it to have that more of a blend, because then that I think that's the right direction to have that whole inclusion, because they include it is inclusion, but it's more of like kind of like let's focus on kind of like entirely on tradition, like kind of Asian tradition. That makes sense.
yeah.
A
I know
complete
what you
Asian
mean.
tradition, but I want them to include it all, like literally the full round circle of all ethnicities, combine it into one, and like it could be a black lead, Asian lead. I don't want I don't want script writers to write roles anymore and literally give it a face. I want that role to be anyone can fill that in. It can be Black, Asian,
I know what you mean, because I was
Indian
watching
or anything. White.
I was watching a rom-com yesterday, and the main characters were Black, but what I really liked about it was that they didn't focus on the fact that they were Black. Like the storyline didn't involve them. Oh, it had to be around Black culture. It was just they were Black and they were the main character, and that was it. That was it. The story was
that is what I want.
A normal story that anyone would experience. Do you know what I mean? It didn't have to be, oh, they're Black. They didn't make a thing of it. Yeah.
But that's what I would want kind of like filmmakers to make now. I mean, to do now. So it's basically literally have a film, have Asian characters, but it doesn't focus on them being Asian. Because at the moment we have Asian films, or the new generation that focuses us on being Asian.
Yeah.
But can we get a film that focuses us as, in the Western society? Obviously,
it's just
representation.
Human,
we have both left and right, like in terms of obviously people that live in the East as well. But we have, people that live in the West, like us, like we were born and raised in London and stuff. So that's be awesome if that could happen in the future.
I feel that.
Let's round up the episode with a little fun section that I like to call Lamb's Quick Fire Questions. And basically, Lamb's just going to offer you two options, and you got to say one or the other and briefly explain why.
Oof.
Yeah, it's just a kind of would you rather,
Would you rather? Oh, okay. Please don't.
No.
I'm already afraid.
It will be good fun. It won't be anything, Pete.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Okay, ready.
So would you rather go for Supreme brand or just ASOS brands?
ASOS.
ASOS, yeah, I like that.
Why ASOS? You don't like Supreme, man? You don't like to fit the Supreme across the chest?
So you have the all in Asians and the cheap Asians. I'm here.
Yeah.
well,
I'm here. I was just like, I'm cheap, man.
I must be part of a lower brand because I shop from Primark.
Creatives. It's about the same. Well, no, it's not.
No, man, ASOS is a level above, man. I'm Primani, man. Primani, bang bang.
Primani, that's the one. But
Primani,
yeah, that's the one for sure. Because for me, I like unbranded clothing. I just like blending in. Like I just don't really feel like the brand, increases anything, the value of what I'm wearing, or it doesn't make me who I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a way,
they're just clothes you put on your back, innit? Like, don't matter.
Yeah. Clothes don't make who you are in a sense. So I don't really care about the brand.
Right.
But yeah, carry on. Good go.
So I don't know if you know who Dumbfounded and MC Jin are.
Mm-hmm.
So who do you think's better, Dumbfounded or MC Jin?
Dumbfounded.
Dumbfounded, definitely. Dumbfounded is my guy, man. I love that guy.
I love that guy.
Proper
Dumbfounded
you can't par MC Jin, like he's
no par.
He's innovative. He was a groundbreaker.
Yeah.
MC Jin was a groundbreaker, but
him being part of Rough Riders,
that
that was big boy news.
MC Jin was like the first Asian guy that I saw rapping, and I was just like, this guy is sick, like ridiculous. But Dumbfounded is just he's just cool, man.
Dumbfounded just has that flow. He just, I don't know, he's so slick as well.
Yeah,
the way he did the lines. I mean, but obviously, no disrespect to MC Jin. So MC Jin, if you're watching this, no disrespect, bro. We love you.
Man.
Yeah, you're the guy. You're OG, bro.
OG, keep working
learn
hard,
Chinese.
But I know what you mean about Dumbfounded, because it just feels like he does everything so effortlessly. Like he can just move into rapping, he can move into acting, stand-up comedy, and it just feels like natural to him.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Next one. Who wins in a fight? One Punch Man or Goku?
Yeah. Goku.
Ooh. Oh no, man, it's One Punch Man though.
But who survives a punch from One Punch Man?
You know what I mean? He destroys everything.
No. Goku has that story plot armor. He has that story plot armor. I'm telling you right now. Goku will he'll probably get hit down in one punch, but then he would come back up and become Super Saiyan 5, 6, 7.
He'll die. He'll go to the next. He'll go to heaven and then come back stronger.
He can go to heaven. He come back stronger.
Time capsule.
He'll train with gravity 10,000.
Yeah, definitely for sure. Like he's coming back stronger. No matter what, Goku always comes back stronger. So like
He'll always level up.
he always
That's
level
true.
up. So he's got that plot armor like crazy. So like, no.
Now he's
Like,
Super
his thing,
Super Saiyan level God.
Yeah.
Like WTF, bro? He just leveled up a bit beyond what I thought he could.
So it's crazy because like in Dragon Ball Z, actually Gohan was actually meant to take over for Goku, but the fans didn't want Goku to die. So then, literally he has like they literally said, "Oh, forget Gohan. We're just gonna just continue with Goku."
Gohan was
yeah,
just
yeah,
a
yeah.
loser of a character, man.
No, how can you say that? He beat
Nah,
Cell.
man. Nah,
The
man.
crazy thing is, right? He was my favorite character, though. That's the thing.
You know
Gohan was
what?
my
Like, I
favorite
could
character.
identify with Gohan, but I just thought,
Till-
nah, man, he's so lame. I want to be Goku. But you're
I
like,
was
'cause-
always a Trunks kind of guy.
yeah.
I just like the curtains, you know. That guy was bare cool.
Not gonna lie, came from the future with the sword. Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe we should get a hair, Michael, man. Just start growing it out. Just
D-
You know,
don't get me started, bro.
I wanted to get curtains, but my hair don't move like that. It's too bushy.
get straighten on, man.
Lamb's
Just straighten it
Bulgarian.
out.
True.
Lamb's
That's
Bulgarian.
complete
So,
straight out.
Okay.
he's got different East Asian hair than us.
Different genes.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Would you rather hot pot or Korean barbecue?
Korean barbecue.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was gonna say, it's
'cause-
kind of
You know, I'm a meat. I love like beef and kind of pork. And I mean,
Yeah.
I like beef, pork, chicken, all that stuff. So I just like it marinated meat. It's just like can't go wrong with it. With like hot pot is more like kind of like
Seafoody.
seafood, mellow. It's still
Yeah.
nice, but it's Korean barbecue is the one to go to for me.
Korean barbecue just wins hands down. I don't understand anyone that
it
says hot pot.
always
you know?
wins. It always wins. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna lie, I
hands
love
down.
hot pot though. I'm kind of 50-50.
Yeah, I like hot pot.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's our left,
Mm,
man. It's all about the spring rolls at hot pot.
Yeah.
All
But
right.
is that part of hot pot? Because you think about China is something different. Spring rolls is
No, but
as a side. You don't,
it would always be a side dish with the hot pot, man. So you know.
but you
I
wouldn't
feel
throw
like-
it inside hot pot. You can't
Yeah, but-
include it in hot
Yeah,
pot.
yeah,
You don't
exactly.
throw it in. You could.
Exactly.
the specifically,
I've not seen
there's
an
rules
auntie-
to this now.
Exactly. It's true.
I've not
though.
seen it.
Yeah,
I've
but-
not seen an auntie and uncle throw a spring roll into the bloody hot pot and be like, yeah,
Yeah, but
flavors.
A spring.
it
Yeah, but a
encompasses
spring roll-
that entire meal.
No,
you know?
but a spring roll is a starter with everything. You can get a Chinese takeaway and you'll get spring rolls.
Yeah, but you
go
wouldn't
to a
have
birthday
Korean
party-
barbecue and have a spring roll as a starter. That's not part of that meal set.
Yeah, but it's not.
I bun you guys, man.
It's not
Move
part of
on
hot
to the
pot.
next question.
It ain't part of hot pot.
Bun you guys.
It ain't part of hot pot.
Uh,
Alright, do you rather egg tarts or custard buns?
custard buns.
Custard buns. Okay.
Oh.
But I have a third alternative. So
Right.
if you had a Portuguese nata, that is
Oh.
that
Oi,
is-
Are you shitting
that-
on,
that's
the,
even
on the
better.
on the egg tart from the chat? The nut is good though.
but it's
I-
Portuguese natas are amazing.
I'm
They're
not
like
gonna lie. I think I would go for the nata as well. You know.
yeah.
see, he knows the
It's
real
kinda-
deal.
It's kind of hard
You
to
have
say
to-
because I'm like I'm betraying my Chinese heritage here by saying Portuguese nata tarts, but
Well,
I
if you go
can't lie,
Macau,
the nata tarts are boom.
you go Macau, you could hit both boxes. You could be both Portuguese and you could be
Oh.
Chinese.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So don't
Very
worry.
hard to
man.
beat
honestly.
Macau.
The texture and the flavor that you get from
I
that nata is just
That
It's a
it's
step
caramelized-
above.
yeah.
The
I can't shit
caramelized
on
bit
that
at the
egg
top.
tart.
It's a step above. It's a step above. Because sometimes I get egg tarts from Chinatown and they just move soggy. I'm just like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's peak.
100% peak.
And finally,
Right.
Next question.
So, who are you choosing? Charmander, Bulbasaur, or Squirtle?
Amanda.
Straight up in it. Didn't even have to
It's
think
all-
about that one.
it's always Charmander.
Yeah.
It has to be Charmander.
Charmander, basically. So growing up as a kid, I think I had one yellow and blue, but I didn't really like Bulbasaur.
Yeah. I'm
I
not a
didn't
fan
really
of.
like Bulbasaur.
Hey,
Mm,
Bulba's cute though.
nah, but when it gets to
He
a
turns
Venusaur-
ugly.
when it,
I mean,
when
no,
it
he
gets
doesn't
to a
ugly, but he just-
Venusaur, he looks like he's diabetic or something.
Wow.
He just got bad. He looks like he's about to have a heart attack or
So
like.
Squirtle's just a fat bitch. When it goes
Squirtle's-
into water. or-
Squirtle's
or
cool because he's a
Blastoise.
Blastoise and it's got two cannons coming out of its shell, right?
Yeah.
He looks kind of beast. But Venus
You know,
Saw, it
it's-
feels like you can just run away from him, and he ain't catching up to you.
Ivysaur and Water Tool, they really cool. I really like the designs, but the final designs just is up to par. And Charizard is just like kind of he's like a fire lizard that just becomes a
dragon.
No.
Dragon.
Which is
A
that
dragon.
one's easier to
Like-
believe, right?
Sick.
like come on.
Plus, he was always the most powerful.
True. I mean,
Yeah.
they all have the same base stats, but they all
But-
they
But
all
Charmander
show
won't
us-
listen.
Yeah, it won't listen. You know it is. You know it is, guys. I think because we see red as good luck, so we went for Charmander.
We're with a red fire.
Shouts. Shouts to the good luck. And we picked Pikachu, yeah, because we love yellow.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
exactly.
Pikachu
It's
and
always gotta be
Charmander.
yellow.
What a wonderful note to kind of like finish on. That was such a nice note. I mean, it's important everything that we talked about during this episode. And if you want to see some of that content, you should really head over to QDN Visuals on Instagram, and it's got all the links there. And make sure you check them out, share them. It's an important message. Ignorant and Labels, I think they're really, really strong short films. Yeah, I mean, are there any other socials that you want people to hit you up on, or if they want you to be the director to their film, like where should they find you?
So you obviously, like you said, you have QDN Visuals as my Instagram page, and then you can find my portfolio online. It's qd-nguyen.com, and my email is if you want qd-nguyen@homo.com. If you want to DM me for like a collaboration or any ideas, or you want to speak about anything, then I'm open to anything or perspectives, anything you want to talk about, then I'm there. And that's pretty much it. That's where you can find me, and hopefully you find new content from me soon. But obviously with the lockdown, it's looking unlikely for any short films, but hopefully soon. Yeah, hopefully soon. Probably December, January.
You could use Legos and just post credits, post and animate their faces and stuff. In the story, man. There's always ways around it.
Like Wallace and Gromit, like 1 second a frame.
Oh mate,
Just move it a tiny bit.
Wallace and Gromit is a different level of pain, like trying to record that. But yeah, if you want to chat to us, you want to speak about anything that we've spoken about, or any other issues that you feel that we may have not discussed yet, hit us up, Respect the Mic Pod on Instagram. You can email us on respectthemicrophone@gmail.com, or you can find me on Twitter at Michael H. Trung, and Lam.
You can find me on Instagram at HongMikeLam and on Twitter _Famalam.
And don't forget, leave your 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. If you can drop a comment, subscribe on YouTube, hit the notification bell, or if you're on Soundcloud, just hit the thumbs up. Whatever you can do to support us, or even just share it with your family members, with your friends. Maybe there is someone who is in need of this. The conversation is only just beginning, guys, and we just want to keep that flow coming. This is the platform that we want to show and share the love in the East Asian community. That is pretty much it. So bye, mother bitch.
Peace.